Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Current Affair Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy 16th December 2025. Before getting into the discussion, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please do subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the Academy. So coming to the topics for today's discussion, the first topic is about the Supreme Court ruling on Narco Test. So recently the Supreme Court ruled that, Narco Test without consent or forced Narco Test is, invalid and unconstitutional. And the second article is regarding the Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Bill of 2025, which is proposing amendments to major insurance related acts. And the next article is INAS 335, that is Indian Naval Air Squadron 335. So recently, the second squadron of MH60R helicopters are going to be commissioned in the Indian Navy on this December 17. And the next article is regarding the India-Ethiopia relations. So we'll be seeing why the Ethiopia is becoming relevant these days, and what are the opportunities and challenges in the India-Ethiopian relation. And finally, we'll be discussing the prelims focus. If all set, let's begin the discussion with the first article. What does the Supreme Court's ruling on Narco Test mean? The article is taken from The Hindu. So recently, the Apex Court ruled that forced or involuntary narco test is unconstitutional and invalid. So in this background, let us discuss more about the narco test and also why it is unconstitutional. So coming to the narco test, so what it is, it's an investigative technique used by the investigators to get facts or leads from the accused. So how this test is happen? So there are 4 stages. In the first stage, it is pre-narcotic stage. So in the stage, the accused or the person who is going for the test will be explained in detail about the procedure. And the second stage is the narcotic stage. In this stage, a professional or a trained anesthesia doctor will be sedating the person using sodium pentothal or other medicines to lower his inhibition. And the third stage is the questioning stage. So in this stage, the investigators will be asking questions to the person who is in a semi-conscious stage. And finally, all the session will be recorded. So we are assuming that in the semi-conscious stage, the person may reveal the concealed facts. So this is the narco test, and this is similar to polygraph test and also the brain mapping test, and it is classified as non-violent and at the same time highly intrusive because it is affecting the mental process of a person for a short period of time. And why the Supreme Court strike it down? So it is violating article 20 clause 3, which is talking about the right against self-incrimination. That means no person can be compelled to testify against themselves. And you can see that even though the narco test there is an absence of physical violence, the compulsion, it is equal to violence. That means if the test is conducted without the consent of a person, and then that is also a violence according to the court's observation. And the next is the violation of article 21, which is talking about the right to life, personal liberty and also privacy. So here the narco test, which is conducted without a person's consent, is affecting his bodily autonomy and also his mental privacy. And what is the evidentiary value of this narco test then? So if you refer certain cases, recent cases, for example, Manoj Kumar Saini versus State of Madhya Pradesh 2023, Vinobhai versus State of Kerala 2025. If you refer certain cases, we can see that the high courts of the respective states ruled that the narco test result do not prove guilty, but the leads or the facts the person revealed during the test can be used as an investigative lead, and that lead has to be corroborated independently to come to a conclusion. And that too, if the information is obtained without the consent of a person, then it is invalid. So that is the evidentiary value of narco test. So the leads or the facts revealed by the person during the test can be used as an investigative lead, but that is not conclusion. So to come to conclusion, the investigative leads revealed by the person during the test has to be corroborated independently. And that too, if the test is conducted without the consent, then the fact will become invalid. So when a narco test can be conducted? Only when all the safeguards are met. That means here the person should volunteer for the test, and there should be an informed consent, and the consent has to be recorded before a magistrate, and the test can be conducted only in the presence of medical, legal and procedural safeguard. And according to the section 253 of Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, as a part of defense evidence, a person can volunteer for the test, but you can see that you cannot demand. There is no right to demand for the test. That means you cannot force any court to issue orders to conduct the test. That means there is no absolute right to demand for narco test. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is with reference to narco analysis test in India, consider the following statements. Statement 1, narco analysis involves administering a psychoactive substance to reduce a person's ability to consciously conceal information. Statement 2, conducting a narco analysis test without free consent of the accused violates Article 23, Clause 3 of the Constitution. Statement 3, a person has an absolute right to demand a narco analysis test during criminal proceedings. How many of the above statements? These are correct. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, all 3. And option D, none of the above. So from our discussion, we can see that the statement 1 is correct. Statement 2 is also correct. But the statement 3 is incorrect because no person has absolute right to demand for such narco analysis test. That means you cannot force any court to issue such order. So the statement 3 is going in incorrect here. So the correct answer is option B, 2 only. With this, we will move to the next article. New insurance bill, what's in, what's left out. The article is taken from The Hindu. So on 12th December, the Union Cabinet approved the Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Bill of 2025, which is proposing major amendments to Insurance Act of 1938, Life Insurance Corporation Act of 1956, and also the Insurance Regulatory Act of 1999. So what are the objectives of these amendments? The first is modernizing the insurance sector of India, expanding the coverage, bringing more stable investment to the sector, and also strengthening the regulation. But on the other side, there is a strong criticism that these proposed amendments are not addressing the key or the core demands of the industry. So let us discuss more about this article. So the major features or the major changes proposed by the amendments. The first is 100% foreign direct investment in the insurance company. So before that, the foreign companies can own only 74% of the insurance company, but now it got expanded to 100%. The objective is attracting more stable investment, facilitating technology transfer, ensuring insurance penetration, and finally the ultimate objective is ensuring insurance for all by 2047. So what is the importance of 2047? Vikasit Bharat. And the second is reduced norms for foreign reinsurers. So before that, what is meant by reinsurance? Reinsurance means insurance for insurance company. Imagine that there is an insurance company called Company A, and they will be sharing the risk with the Company B, and this Company B will be called reinsurer, and this Company A is known as insurer. So imagine that at least 1,000 people has insurance in Company A, and there was a unfortunate event like a mega disaster. In that case, this Company A has to disperse the claim. So what happens is this will bring more burden on Company A, and there is even a possibility that the Company A may fall into loss. So to avoid such risk, the Company B, the reinsurer, will be paying a particular portion of the claim to prevent the Company A from falling. So that is known as this is how the reinsurance system is working. So before that, the foreign reinsurers should have at least a capital of 5,000 crore to enter into the industry, but now it got reduced to 1,000 crore. And what is the objective? Facilitating more entry of more reinsurers, broadening the competition, strengthening the reinsurance capacities in the country. And the next provision is more power to the IRDAI, that is Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. So hereafter they can work more like SEBI, how the SEBI is regulating the share market or the stock market. So hereafter, without much restriction, the IRDA can take action against the wrongful gains or the profits made by the intermediaries or the agents. That means they can work more similar like SEBI. And the next proposal in the amendment, more operational freedom for life insurance corporation. So we can see that hereafter the life insurance corporations, as per the proposal, the life insurance corporation can set up new zonal offices without the prior approval of the government, and at the same time they can also restructure and align its overseas operations with the respective local rules and regulations. So more operational freedom for the LIC is given. And what are the other minor changes? The first is one-time registration facility for the insurance intermediaries. So who are these intermediaries? They can be agents, they can be corporate agents, or sometimes the agents of the company. So before that they have to register in different slot, but now they can go for a single registration under a single platform. And also the bill proposed the rise of approval threshold for transfer of paid up capital equity paid up equity capital from 1% to 5%. See, this paid up equity capital transfer will happen frequently in the company. Most of the transfer will be small scale transfer, that is less than 1%. What was the issue? So before that, if the transfer is more than 1%, they have to wait for the approval from the IRDAI. But now, as per the proposal, the threshold got increased from 1% to 5%. So hereafter, if the transfer is happening up to 5% of the 5%, then there is no need to go for much paperwork or approval from the IRDA. So this will ease up the the transfer of the paid equity capital. And the next, notable omissions. So we can see that on one side, there is a criticism that the proposed amendments are not addressing the core demands in the industry. So what are those? So the first major concern is about the composite license. So in the case of India, an insurance company cannot provide insurance for both life and non-life insurance. So this is, the bill is also not talking anything about the composite license. And what is the major issue? So here, the long standing structural issue is still remaining. And the next is reduced capital norms for new entrants. So we can see that on one side, the capital, the requirement of capital for the foreign reinsurers got reduced from 5,000 crore to 1,000 crore. But there is no mention about the norms for new entrants. So as per the current system, the minimum paid up capital for the insurer is 100 CR, and for the reinsurer it is 200 CR. So if a small company wants to enter into the insurance sector or into the insurance industry, it will be a great barrier or a challenge for them. So on one side, the bill is supporting the big corporate level players, but on other side, through remaining silent about these demands, it is indirectly it is bringing a barrier, or the barrier is still remaining for the small scale players. So coming to the prelims practice question, the question is with the IRDAI. So the question is about the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, IRDAI was established under the IRDAI Act of 1999. Statement 2, the Insurance Amendment Bill of 2025 aligns IRDAI enforcement powers with those of SEBI. And statement 3, IRDAI regulates only life insurance companies in India. So which of the above statements is or are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 and 1 and 2 only, option C 2 and 3 only, and option D 1, 2 and 3. So from our discussion, we can see that the correct answer will be option B 1 and 2 only. The IRDN only regulates life insurance companies? No. So with this, we will move to the next article. Indian Navy to commission INAS 335, also known as Ospreys. The article is taken from Press Information Bureau. So on this coming 17, from INS Hansa, the largest naval airbase of India, from there the Indian Navy will be commissioning the second MH-60R helicopter squadron, and the inauguration will be done by Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, the Chief of Naval Staff. So in this background, let us discuss more about this article. So coming to the Indian Navy Air Squadron 335, also known as Ospreys. So before the 335, we had 334, that is INAS 334, that was commissioned, that was the first squadron of the MH-60R helicopter, and that was commissioned by the Indian Navy in 2024 from INS Garuda in Kochi. And now from INS Hansa, we are going to commission the second squadron of MH-60R helicopters. They are also known as Ospreys, which is reflecting the maritime surveillance and the striking capability of this helicopter. And this MH-60 helicopters, we know that they are known for their multi-role. That can be, the helicopter can be used for dealing with the conventional threat like terrorism, warship. At the same time, it can be used for disaster, assistance and all, disaster relief and humanitarian assistance. And at the same time, it can be used for conducting surveys. So it is known for their multi-role. And coming to the importance or the significance of the commissioning. So you can say that the first major significance is nothing but the modernization of the Indian Navy. So the commissioning of the MH-60 helicopters will strengthen the integral aviation capability of the Indian Navy. That means here the helicopters are not used occasionally, but they are anytime available in the naval fleet. And the next is enhanced combat capability. So we can see that this MH-60R helicopters are equipped with the modern weapons, modern sensors, and state-of-art avionics, which makes them capable of dealing with conventional threats like enemy warship and submarine, and also other threats like piracy, maritime terrorism, and irregular naval threats. And the ultimate objective is nothing but, we know that the strengthening the navy is very important for India, especially to maintain the peace as well as stability and rule of law in the Indian Ocean region. So the ultimate objective is nothing but maintaining the rule of law and peace and stability in the Indian Ocean region. So coming to the prelims practice question, the question is with reference to INAS 335, that is Ospreys, consider the following statements. Statement 1, INAS stands for Indian Naval Air Squadron. Statement 2, INAS 335 is the first helicopter squadron of Indian Navy equipped with the MH-60R helicopters. Statement 3, INAS Hansa is a major naval air base located on India's western coast. So which of the above statements is or are correct? Option A, 1 and 3 only, option B, 1 and 2 only, option C, 2 and 3 only, and option D, 1, 2 and 3. So from our discussion, we can see that the statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is also correct, because the INS Hansa is the largest Indian naval air base, and that is located in Goa in the western coast. So the statement 1 and 3 are correct. So the first, coming to the second statement, it is a first squadron. No, it is a second. The first is INAS 334. So the statement 2 is incorrect, while the statement 1 and 3 are correct. So the correct answer will be option A, 1 and 3 only. With this, we will move to the next article. The right moment to boost India-Ethiopia ties. The article is taken from The Hindu. So this article is written by Mr. Gurjit Singh, the former Indian ambassador to Ethiopia and also to the African Union. So why the Ethiopia is becoming relevant again? Why we have to establish a strong relation with the Ethiopia now? Let us discuss. So if you take the India-Ethiopia ties, it can be dated back to 2000 plus years, when the Indian traders were active in Ethiopian Oxamite Empire. And if you come to the modern days, both nations, both India and Ethiopia, shares a lot of common features. For example, both stood against the imperialism. And we can see that towards the late 19th century, the European colonizers started colonizing different parts of Africa. And one of the few empires that strongly resisted the colonization was the Ethiopia. And you can see that Ethiopia wasn't fully colonized by the Europeans. And also in the Second World War, the Ethiopia played a crucial role in defeating the Axis powers in Northern Africa. And that is why PM Nehru admired the Ethiopian effort in the Second World War, especially the Ethiopia's fight against the Italian aggression. And here you can see the map of Ethiopia. So even though the Ethiopia is not directly sharing border with the Red Sea or Indian Ocean, it is sharing border with the different countries that are sharing border with the sea. For example, in North Eritrea, in the east Somalia, in the south Kenya, and Sudan and South Sudan. So we can see that once you can establish a strong relation in Ethiopia, then it can provide access to all these nations. And why the Ethiopia is becoming relevant again? So we can see that Ethiopia, after a series of civil war, Ethiopia is now recovering from all those damages and loss. And that as per the recent estimation in 2024, the Ethiopian population is currently standing at 109 million, which is providing a key opportunity in the in the Ethiopian market. And also recently Ethiopia became the member of BRICS. Therefore, hereafter India and Ethiopia can cooperate not just in economy or in technology, but we can cooperate together for advocating climate justice and also other such major demands. So coming to the economic cooperation between India and Ethiopia. So the private investment in Ethiopia is exceeded nearly 4 billion, and you can see that since 2006, that means since the lines of credit, the investment, Indian investment in Ethiopia got boosted. And the key sectors of investments are agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, light manufacturing, and also mining. And no need to say, African nations are rich in resources, particularly the minerals. Therefore, Ethiopia is also very crucial for minerals, particularly the rare earth minerals, which are very important for renewable energy and the semiconductor mission of India. And you can see that the cooperation, the economic cooperation between India and Ethiopia are supported by certain Indian initiatives like line of credit, as well as the Indian Development and Economic Assistance Scheme, which provides credit facilities for establishing infrastructure and for such purposes. And you can see that Ethiopia is an important hub under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So this African Continental Free Trade Agreement was initiated in the year 2021, which is aiming to convert the entire African continent into a single market without much barrier. And Ethiopia is an important hub. And like I mentioned before, Ethiopia is now a member of BRICS. So in the coming days, we can cooperate in diverse sector. And coming to the technological cooperation, so since 2007, we are establishing the Pan African e-network, which is focusing on teleeducation and digital services. Ethiopia was a pilot country for that. And recently, the IIT Delhi and Ethiopia signed a partnership for teleeducation. And nearly you can see that thousands of students are studying here, and especially the PhD graduates. So this is indicating the strong ties, especially in knowledge sharing. And you can see that the nation is collaborating with India for survey for mining. And coming to the defense cooperation, so in 1956, Harhara military academy was established in Ethiopia with the Indian support. So therefore, Ethiopia was one of the few first countries to get military assistance from India. And you can say that since 2009, Indian defense teams are training Ethiopian armed force, especially in capacity building and military education. And you can see that in 1970s, there was a Marxist-Leninist faction which came to power in Ethiopia, and therefore they got a lot of support in defense, especially from the Soviet Union. And later 1991, the Soviet Union got disintegrated, and since then they are using the Soviet era equipments, military equipments. So now it is important for Ethiopia to cooperate with India, because we can see that if you take the decadal growth between 2004 to 2014 and 2014 to 2024, if you compare these 2 decades, we can see that Indian defense production grew by nearly 21 times. We have done an article on that. So Indian defense grew by 21 times, and India is emerging as one of the top military exporters. So therefore, in the coming days, it is very important for Ethiopia to enhance defense cooperation with India. Is very important for Ethiopia to enhance the defense equipments. And India offers cost-effective, battle-tested defense platforms. We are known for providing quality services with the least expenditure. And recently, a new memorandum of understanding was signed for better cooperation in military. And you can see that the first joint defense cooperation committee meeting was recently held between India and Ethiopia. And coming to the people-to-people cooperation, so like I mentioned, the cooperation between India and the Ethiopia can be dated back to 2000 plus years, when the Indian traders were active in Ethiopian land. And we can see that, like I mentioned, nearly thousands of graduates are getting graduated from India. The Ethiopian graduates are getting graduated from in India. And you can see that in the coming days, to modernize the education system, the cooperation with India is very important, because we are focusing more on digital tele-education and digital services. So to modernize the education system, the cooperation between India and Ethiopia is very important. And Ethiopia sends one of the largest number of students to India, and Ethiopians form the largest group of African PhD students in India. So among the African students, Ethiopian citizens are the largest to receive PhD from India. And you can see that graduates of India supported programs, staff new Ethiopian universities, and strong academic, cultural, and human to human, human capital linkages strengthen mutual trust between India and Ethiopia. And education diplomacy forms the core of bilateral people-to-people ties. So not just the culture. Here, in the case of once India had strong educational diplomacy with Bhutan, Nepal, and all, but now we can see that they are going towards the east, especially to nations like China and South Korea. But now we have a new partner to cooperate in the field of educational diplomacy. And what are the challenges in engaging with the Ethiopia? So first is political instability and post-conflict recovery. So if you take the Ethiopian history since 1950, at least they went to 3 major civil wars. And in the recent time, like I mentioned, in November 2020 to November 2022, the Ethiopia had to fight a civil war, and that was ended with the Pretoria Agreement. So like that, the political condition of Ethiopia is always it's a kind of uncertainty. So in 1970s to 1991 there was a civil war, and again in 1998 to 2000 the Ethiopia had to fight with the Eritrea. And since 2022 2022 Ethiopia had to fight, go through another series of civil war for nearly 2 years. So the uncertainty is still persisting. So therefore, and another major issue is related to tax relaxation and policy inconsistency. So when different regimes comes to power, they may adopt different policies like that. And foreign exchange shortage affecting the Indian investors. And the next is withdrawal of Indian firms from the agriculture in the recent times is one of the major challenges in engaging with Ethiopia. Infrastructure and logistics bottlenecks. So like I mentioned, Ethiopia is not directly sharing border with the sea. So the relationship between other countries, for example Somalia and Eritrea, is it is affecting the export and import to Ethiopia. So the infrastructure or logistics bottlenecks are there. And the next is IMF mandated physical constraints limiting policy flexibility. So when a nation is taking loan from IMF, they have to follow certain conditions given by the IMF. So that will be affecting the policy flexibility of a nation. And in the case of India, we are not that much taking loans or depending on IMF, but that is not the case of Ethiopia. So therefore, Ethiopia has certain limitations in bringing flexibility to their policies, especially in taking assistance or engaging with other countries. And at the same time, what are the opportunities? So the Ethiopia's political reset opens new space for renewed engagement. And like I mentioned, now as per the recent estimation, nearly 109 million people are there. So therefore, it is providing huge opportunity, especially in the market, and a strong potential in critical minerals and rare earth minerals, which is crucial for India's renewable energy security and semiconductor mission. And recently we can see that Ethiopia became a member of BRICS, and also it is an important hub in the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So therefore, there is an opportunity, especially in the market. Scope for manufacturing, pharma, and agro processing. So we can see that recently the agricultural firms are withdrawing, but if we have proper policies to make them re-engage with Ethiopia, that will be useful. And defense modernization needs align with the Indian capabilities. So like I mentioned, the Soviet era equipments, they are old, and still the Ethiopia they are using. So to replace them, they need to establish relation with India. And here also India has an opportunity. And deep education and people to people ties are trust capital. So like I mentioned, especially the education diplomacy plays a crucial role in engaging with Ethiopia in the coming days. So coming to the mains practice question, the question is, Ethiopia is emerging as a key strategic partner for India in Africa. Discuss multifaceted dimensions of India-Ethiopia relations and examine the challenges and opportunities in deepening this partnership. So it's a 15 marks question, and you have to write around 250 words. Write the answer and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. Now it's time to move to the next article. So coming to the prelims focus, the first topic is minimum support price for copra. So recently the Union Cabinet approved minimum support price for the copra for the season of 2026. So what are the nodal agencies involved in it? The first is National Agriculture Cooperative Marketing Federation of India. The second is the National Cooperative Consumers Federation for the procurement of copra under the price support scheme. So recently we can see that if you take the decadal growth of copra, the milling copra and the ball copra recorded a growth of 129 and 127% respectively. And what is the significance of MSP for copra? So it will ensure better remuneration for the farmers in coconut farmers, and second, it will incentivize the farmers to expand the copra production to meet the growing demand for the coconut products across the world. And the second topic is India's resolution on wildfire. So recently the resolution was brought by India titled as Strengthening the Global Management of Wildfires. So this was adopted in the 7th session of the United Nations General Environment Assembly in Nairobi in Kenya. And what are the objectives of this resolution? The first is strengthening the international cooperation and coordination for the wildfire management. And the second is reinforcing the ongoing global activities under the Global Fire Management Hub to control the wildfire. And what are the key provisions of the resolution? Strengthening the international cooperation, enhance regional and global cooperation, and knowledge sharing and capacity building. And the next is focusing on national and regional action plans for the management of fire, and finally facilitating the access to international finance, to deal with the problems like wildfire and the climate change. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is, which one of the following best explains the purpose of fixing MSP for copra? Option A, to promote coconut export. Option B, to protect coconut growers from price volatility. Option C, to replace the market-based pricing of coconuts. And option D, to regulate import of edible oil. So the objective of the MSP is nothing but protecting the farmers from price volatility. So here, the answer will be option B. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for the prelims focus. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's current affair analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the academy. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day.